for your host, here she goes.
Welcome to Diary of a Botox Bitch podcast.
Oh man, can't get enough of your voice. Keep on talking.
Hi, I'm Dr. Botox, Dr. Danielle Mark Holland, and this is my podcast, Diary of a Botox Bitch. They call me Dr. Botox because I've shot up more faces than LeBron James has shot 3. Very quickly, I started to do a lot of reality TV across the pond, so I will tell you about those shows. I will compare and spill the tea on all things reality TV across the pond and here and whatever. Here, because we are coming to you live from downtown Beverly Hills. I'll also do a section that I call Botox. I answer questions from members of the public, people who can post questions on TikTok and ask me various different thing. And also a big huge thank you to our sponsors, Dermaface MD Skincare and Aerospace MD Skincare. In the Aerospace MD we have the oxygenating moisturizing cream, all available on our affiliate link, and also we have Dermaface MD Hyaluronic, which we suggest you put on before your moisturizer and seal with moisturizer. But that's enough about our sponsors. Let's get on to the juicy stuff. Firstly, who am I? Well, as you can probably tell from the accent, I'm Irish. I grew up on the mean streets of South Central Dublin 4, which is basically Irish Beverly Hills, or as I like to call it, Dublin 90210. I did a lot of TV shows back in Ireland. One of the shows I did, you probably never heard of it. It's called The Real Housewives of Ireland, or Dublin Wives, or Southside Housewives, or whatever the fuck it's been called this week, because the producers in the network didn't pay their license fee, and we did all the opening credits, you know, where we're singing I'm the only girl in the world and blah blah blah, and so they were in trouble for stealing the likeness, I think. And to be honest with you, I side completely with Bravo, because obviously you can't just decide, oh, we're going to make an Irish version of it, although it was the exact same, and it was called Dublin Wives, I think, in the end. I also did another show, don't judge, it was called Celebrity Big Brother. And Celebrity Big Brother is it's a lot like Big Brother, but a lot less celebrity. And people always ask me, what's the Real Housewives of Ireland like? And the Real Housewives of Ireland, well, it's a lot like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but a lot less money, more drama. It's the same as Celebrity Big Brother, a lot less money and a lot more drama. I was immediately selected to host a show called 50 Plastic Surgery Shockers, kind of like the UK version of Bond. It was called 50 Plastic Surgery Shockers, or as I like to call it, 50 Fucked Up Faces. A little bit about me, I come from quite a political family. I'm actually the great-grandniece of Michael Collins, arguably one of the most influential men in Irish history. He was President of Ireland. Many of the presidents here in the United States of America, he was also very bad at ducking and got himself all shot up. So I'm basically an Irish Kennedy. I was awarded a green card for exceptional talent in TV and film. Like I said, I did The Real Housewives of Ireland, but I also did Celebrity Big Brother in the UK. Also did a couple of sitcoms, 2 sitcoms, well, 1.5 sitcoms, full disclosure, pilots that didn't actually make it to series, but sure, you know yourself. And I'm here in LA and I do a lot of stand-up comedy actually. So this weekend I opened the show Sedina. And then last week I was at the Comedy Store in La Jolla. This next week I have Up in Sunset, which is a huge honour. I've done the store before, but it's just like, and also another couple of shows coming up. So I do work very hard during the day on skincare, and I'm in the formulating the different skincares and working on that. But then most evenings I'm out doing stand-up comedy, be it working on new material or performing in different shows. So it all kind of comes in together. So you're probably going like, what's a reality TV star doing, you know, in Los Angeles from Ireland? Well, I've always loved everything West Coast, lowriders, hip hop and shameless self-promotion. So I'm here. So the podcast is third arm of the triangle, which is obviously stand-up comedy, reality TV, skincare, and then I still have a Botox clinic back in Europe. But again, apologies. The wait times, I think, for new patients is probably 36 months, maybe 40 months. I don't know. Ensure that I'm not doing too much work on the clinical floor. I've been doing it, 12 years. You could literally blindfold me and I could do it in my sleep. So it's not, I don't find it that challenging anymore. And if something isn't a challenge for me or new or interesting, always lovely to see the patients, and I have the same patients for years, but it's not terribly challenging. I in my mind, I think I'm the best Botox bitch in Europe. So I'm also very good at, 10, 12 years ago, I was clinical director in Harley Street and they called me Dr. Dublin, Monaco or London. But again, I think the wait times are all the same. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about reality TV that is going on here. The big story this week, BravoCon happened. So everyone was in Vegas. Obviously, Andy was there and he was hosting. The old housewives from New York were there. The new housewives from the Real Housewives of New York were there. Salt Lake City, Orange County. There's a lot going on. My favorite one actually that I'm catching up on is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The only thing is I can't work out what's going to happen because right now with No Rinna, come after me for saying this, but hey, No Rinna, no ratings. Let's just call the ball here. She's married to the film producer Anyway, she's like literally, I don't know why they cast her. She seems harmless, but also personality of a fire hydrant. Like, why is she on the show? I think they're going to be in big trouble without Lisa Rinna. I think the storyline of Kyle and Maurizio will only carry them so far. The other thing as well is this weekend, Kyle broke down in tears at BravoCon when she was asked about Maurizio. Going back 2 or 3 weeks, Kyle was very confident and stated the fact that it was her who initiated the separation. Although there is speculation that he had possibly cheated. I don't know. He vehemently claims he didn't, and he also claims that Kyle was not having an affair with the country singer Morgan. Kyle was just in fact produced. And I don't think it's for a storyline. I don't think at all it's for a storyline because they have 4 daughters and 3 of whom still live at home, and Farah is the only one who's flew the coop at this point in time. They also have their own show called Buying Beverly Hill, which is based around Maurizio's brand, which is called The Agency, near Maple Drive in Beverly Hill. And you often see the cast getting coffees and around about the place, and they're all very nice, they're very accomplished, a lot better to be honest than the Selling Sunset cast. Let me just talk about that for 1 second. Selling Sunset, I don't know about the name. I'm thinking, don't judge, but I'm thinking maybe it should be rebranded to Hookers and Heels. I'm just saying, perhaps Hoochie Mamas in the Hollywood Hill, or Hollywood Hills Hoochie Mamas. I mean, it's a good show, but honestly, would I let them sell or buy anything for me? No, I wouldn't let them buy or sell. It's different. Maurizio's agency is probably the leading agency here in Beverly Hills. Like other agencies that are very cutthroat, it has a very family thread and dynamic to it and good values, and except for the situation about the house that they bought off the market as a kind of a hidden LLC or something. But that was all settled out of court, I think, for 8 million or maybe 12 million. But other than that, they're very by the book. But anyway, you can Google that. Google Maurizio's case and settlement case for a house that he bought off market. But yeah, Maurizio and Kyle is the big storyline, and I think the only storyline really on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Kyle initiated the separation. Going back 2 weeks ago, she was quite adamant that she initiated and almost happy that she did. But then this weekend she broke down in tears at BravoCon, which has been held in Vegas, and she had to gather herself. She said actually they were working on it, they loved each other very much and they wanted to get back together. Meanwhile, Maurizio was seen out with PK, the English guy from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. He's married to Dorit, whatever. She has a fake accent as well. PK is an interesting character. They portray him as someone who's possibly, a well-spoken upper crust British. He's not. He's like basically plastic gangster from the East End. I mean, I don't know if he's for sure the East End, but he's certainly, his turn of phrase is quite Cockney or Essex. He also keeps company with Boy George, and if anyone is interested in looking, Boy George, 2011 I think it was, he was involved and he was imprisoned for, and you can Google it, Google the Daily Mail, Boy George. He basically had a male sex worker over to his flat, I think, tied him up, did all sorts. I don't want to comment. It's kind of disturbing and very upsetting. I find it very strange that PK and Dorit would have Boy George in their house and be filmed on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills with Boy George and someone who's done that, someone who's caused so much trouble and trauma to another human being. I think it was a Dutch younger man who he, as the judge said, humiliated and degraded. It was pretty grim. So I just find it interesting that Dorit is always talking about her trauma and the trauma that was caused, and I have every sympathy and empathy for it. But then also be careful of the company you keep, because why would you hang around with someone who done time in prison for causing trauma, deep upset to another human being? So yeah, but PK is interesting. There's also rumours swirling that last year when PK was pulled over for DUI, it wasn't confirmed. It was suggested that there was somebody else in the car with him. I don't know. I can't comment. Dorit and PK have claimed that there's no truth to their marital woes at the moment, and PK was seen out with Maurizio while in West Hollywood 2 days ago, and meanwhile the girls were obviously all at BravoCon. So very interestingly, Kyle changed her tune. 2 or 3 weeks ago she was very smug and stated that she had initiated the separation, and it was Maurizio who was adamantly stating that he wanted to make things work out. They weren't throwing in the towel. Now, albeit he was saying this while having his hand on the hip of Emma Slater, who was his dance partner in Dancing with the Stars. They got eliminated last Tuesday from Dancing with the Stars. I think they made it 4 or 5 weeks. He got to dance the tango, so he was very happy. And curiously enough, while Kyle was having a breakdown, BravoCon, and had to gather herself and said that she really wanted to work things out, funnily enough, Maurizio was photographed out in West Hollywood with Emma Slater, who was his dance partner, who they've said they're just friends. But funnily enough, and it could well be just that they're just friends, but also the photograph was taken from afar and Maurizio has his hand on her back, almost quite protectively. But again, Maurizio's known to be quite a gentleman, so if I was going for dinner, I'm sure he would just be ushering the woman ahead or whatever, so it doesn't mean anything. Kyle's upset, and I think Kyle is upset about the whole situation. By the way, spoiler alert, my pronouns are Botox merch drop, so just to let you know that. And also I apologise as well, I have a screen test tomorrow for a show over here, and so I have the fake tan baking as we speak. So the eyebrows are on. I also have put a little colloid patch on my forehead because I had a biopsy last Thursday for growth in my forehead. And this is something that I don't really talk about too much, or I haven't talked about hugely, and I will talk about it. I've had some quite bad skin. This is something I don't talk about too much, and I'm going to start talking about more about it because I feel like once time has passed, they say tragedy plus time equals comedy. That's what we say in comedy. I don't know that sometimes if things are tragic or upsetting and distressing, that it's necessarily funny ever. But what I will say is when I went to get this removed on Thursday, they just did a biopsy and I have a little colloid patch on it so I could put my makeup over it. I didn't want my makeup going anywhere near the open area that had been biopsied, and I get the results in a few days. But here's the thing, before I move into a little bit more about that and explaining about skincare and how that came about, just want to conclude with the whole Maurizio and Kyle thing. I hope they make it, I really do. And I suppose the big shows at the moment are the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is apparently a cracker season, which is interesting to me. I actually haven't watched it. The other show that obviously is taped around here, is very popular, is Vanderpump. And obviously there's a whole scandal in last season, and that really knocked reality TV into the next level. And again, there's a whole reality TV reckoning going on at the moment, which Bethany Frankel is actually trying to get a union together, which is kind of true because I feel like, well, in many ways, when I did the Real Housewives of Ireland, the clinic got super, super busy. We were up 42%. I didn't capitalise and have a skincare line. I didn't capitalise as much as I should have and could have and would have. But at the same time, certainly you do well in your businesses from doing reality TV. Celebrity Big Brother, you get paid a big fee. You know, when they first asked me to do it, I was like, I'm a doctor, I'm not going to do Celebrity Big Brother. And then they told me the amount. I was like, oh, I'm going to pack my bags. I'm going to pack my bag. So you get paid a direct fee, but that was actually a toxic show. That was horrible, horrible, horrible show. Big Brother is just like, I think in the next episode of Diary of a Botox Bitch, we go into it more as Big Brother in the UK picks up momentum. It's now in a new chapter, reincarnation, so to speak, after a 5-year hiatus. But we're going to be taping about Big Brother, all the dirt on behind the scenes of Big Brother. But yes, just to conclude, reality TV here on the ground, because we're coming to you live from downtown Beverly Hills. And the Maurizio and Kyle story is really crazy right now. The Vanderpump story seems to have calmed down. I'm not a big fan of the Vanderpump show. I feel like Lisa Vanderpump is a nice lady and she's very well spoken and whatnot, but she does certainly have certain phrases that are still, again, a little bit cockney. So I love the fact that they all think she's incredibly upper crust and whatnot. I don't actually know her background. For all I know, she could be from Essex and be neighbours with PK. I don't know. But I just feel like sometimes she may not be as posh as she makes out to be. That's all I'm saying. Also, Lisa, if you're watching, and I'm sure you're watching Diary of a Botox Bitch, because I'm sure you're a big fan. Pink car with the SOAR logo and decal on it is part of the West Hollywood Library. Just to let you know, to go and pick it up. Pump restaurant has closed down, but she's a load of restaurants opening in Vegas, which also, for people who know about Vegas, the tax implications, and it's a very low tax. There's 0 tax percent in terms of some of the tax brackets, so that's probably why she's moved there. And also she's pivoted as well. Her old restaurant, Beverly Hills, that was on the corner, can't remember what that was called. If anyone knows what it was called, put it in the comments. That's been lying empty for a while now. I think I had dinner there start of the pandemic, and then the lease was up, or the lease was too expensive. That's the problem. A lot of the owners of the leases in Beverly Hills will rather have the buildings empty because they won't drop the prices, because they're just going to sit on them because they're going up in value so much all the time. Billing the tea on Vanderpump. I promise you I'm going to get some more information, because curiously enough, one of the cast members from Vanderpump is called Billy Lee, and Billy Lee is often on lineups with me doing stand-up comedy because she's also a stand-up comedian. So very cool girl, transgender. So she talks a lot about in her comedy stand-up transitioning, and it's just very funny and light, and she does a cool set. So she's often on a lineup with me, or we're always kind of passing ships in the night. I don't know her very well, but I do know and can confirm that on one of the shows we did 4 or 5 weeks ago in the Comedy Store, we were both in the same lineup, had come from filming scenes, pool scenes I think, or beach scenes, and had come straight to shows. So that's all I can tell you about Vanderpump. So it's back filming, and they were all again at BravoCon, so that was kind of cool. The cast of The Real Housewives of New York were at BravoCon, but also the old cast were there, you know, Llewellyn and Countess Llewellyn, the usual suspects. So it's kind of interesting, the Bravo family. But Bethany Frankel wasn't there from what I understand, and again, she's going through the reality TV reckoning where she's trying to come up with 10 different, because it's true over here. See, here's the thing. In Ireland, if you do a sitcom or anything like that, you don't get residuals. You'll normally get a buyout and the money is terrible. But here, if you do sitcom, you'll get residual for the rest of your life. So if you get into 3 seasons of a show, you probably don't need to work again. If you get into 4 seasons, 5 seasons, you never need to work again. The residuals are so crazy. In fact, earlier on today, and I put it up on my TikTok, I was leaving a coffee shop in Beverly Hills, and who walks by me but John Hamm. He then gets in his car. He had some super duper cool Mercedes zooped up, you know, and again, the residuals and the money from acting, be it in drama or sitcoms, are huge. Whereas reality TV, you know, you might have your 1 minute of fame, and unless you have, you know, I mean, I've been very lucky. I had my clinic all along. You know, I sold a lot of the clinics off, and you know, I've been blessed from that point of view. But some people, they do their reality TV and it goes away, and everything goes away. And we've seen it particularly with Love Island in the UK. 3 of the cast members have sadly passed away, due to mental health issues and mental health disease. And indeed also Caroline Flack, the host of that show, because there's no backup plan. I remember my agent in London saying, unless you've got stuff to sell, like why would you do reality TV? Obviously if Bethany Frankel procures and secures residuals or some sort of a deal, because also as well, sometimes you get paid very little. I remember when we did the first episode of The Real Housewives of Ireland, it was £1,000 or something, or €1,000, and we didn't even get that paid that for years. There was a whole drama over that and whatnot. Like I said, I did my clinical brand Dermaface MD, and obviously Dermaface MD skincare sponsored this podcast, so I was lucky from that point of view. But I certainly could have maxed it out more, I feel like, and I should have had a skincare going at that time. But anyway, you live and learn. Bethany Frankel was not at BravoCon, and they were all at Vegas, and there was all sorts of shenanigans. People were coming down the escalators. They actually had them all come down escalators, and then they would sit down. They would have the 4 cast members from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills coming down the escalators almost side by side. It was kind of cool till some girl got her Christian Louboutin shoes caught in the escalator. Of course, there was drama with that. Bethany Frankel was not at BravoCon this year, and I'm not sure where she's at in terms of her reality TV reckoning. But I do think it's a good idea, because if you've done 7 or 8 seasons of a particular show, you should be getting residuals, because also when that's up, you see it with certain people, like the shows of Sunset. Sure, that poor girl had to sell fake handbags or something, or she had fake handbags and she was selling some sort of insurance and she's now in prison. You've seen it with other people as well. It might be just that they cast the crazy people in reality TV, who knows. But what I will say as well, just very quickly on Big Brother, because Big Brother UK is back on air, it was kind of crazy because before we went into the Big Brother house, you were in hiding for 2 or 3 days, and I'll go into this in far more depth in the next episode. You see a psychiatrist before you go into the house, and I remember we were in hiding in a hotel in Boreham Woods, or as I call it, Boringwood, in North London, which is very near where Elstree Studios is. And basically for Big Brother, you're not living in a house, you're living in a soundstage. It's just crazy. I will go into the whole behind the scenes on that. When you're in hiding, they send in a psychiatrist. This is great. I've never had a psychiatrist in my life. I get a free therapy session, and you say things that you're afraid of and things that give you anxiety and whatnot. So I explained that I don't like, I said it, but I don't like swimming in water with eels. I just remember I was in a lake in Italy when I was young. Of course, the first task, they put me in a bath full of eels, so it's really fucked up. The reality TV producers, if you ever want to watch a show called Unreal, and it's actually a scripted sitcom, a single cam, written by the old producer of The Bachelorette. So I remember watching that and being like, oh my god, shut up, and screaming at the TV, because it was almost like, oh, that's the blueprint of these producers. I still text my producer from Big Brother, so hi Roz, I can't say too much because I do really like her. It was a toxic experience. It just wasn't pleasant. It was just weird. And they create any stories. Like I remember they were creating a story. There was a girl from Coronation Street, a soap opera, and a short dumpy. She was fine, and actually in the house I got on great with her. We used to have a great laugh. And then when I came out, the press had curated stories as if like I was super trying to be her best friend and stuff. And like anyone knows me, I'm very much the person who has a lot of people around, a lot of acquaintance, but very few people get close. And I always say as well, eagles fly alone. Like, again, merch drop. My pronouns are Botox Bitch, $65, available shipping worldwide, free shipping over $40. And if you want to buy some skincare, it's all available on the same website, www.dermafacemd.com or www.diaryofabotoxbitch.com or aerospacemd.com. When I watched Unreal, which is written by the producer of The Bachelor, it was such an eye-opener. Thinking back on things now, I was so naive when I signed up, because I did The Real Housewives of Ireland, I did Big Brother UK, quite a lot of hosting on the earth. That might be also as well because I'm further along in my own career. It could well be that, I don't know. Thinking back, Big Brother, I also had my first basal cell carcinoma. No, actually it was a squamous cell carcinoma in situ, was removed, and I went into hiding for the 3 days beforehand in that awful hotel. It was like a 3-star hotel. It was disgusting. I went into hiding and actually bought a surgical kit to remove my own sutures. And funnily enough, Saturday night, I was going on stage at the Ice House in Pasadena. I was opening a show there. I actually had to take out a suture. It was just weird that it all kind of came back. I was very triggered by it. Luckily, it's super chill. The comics are all chill, and we had a big green room, and then there was a smaller green room to the back, and I just went in there and did it myself, and I arrived early, so I had privacy. I just took it easy, and it was just a lovely evening, so it was fine. It was chill. But I also was like, oh, I'm taking out my sutures again. Like, this is the story of my life. And I wouldn't have not done my stand-up comedy, but I feel like looking back, I should have maybe considered pushing forward Big Brother till the following year, because I feel like, I don't know if I'd have done it any differently. I think they cast me because they thought I'd be a total bitch, and actually when I went there, I kind of liked quite a few of the housemates, and it was kind of cool to be one of the only Irish people ever cast Big Brother UK. So maybe, but the British tabloids are completely horrible as well, so I don't know. It was just interesting. But anyway, like I said, next episode we're going to go into an in-depth dive on all things pertaining to Big Brother. So that is the portion of the show pertaining to all things reality TV and spilling the tea on all things reality TV, both my show and also shows filmed here in Beverly Hills, live in the ground, because we're coming to you with Diary of a Botox Bitch podcast, live from downtown Beverly Hills. So we'll now move into the segment of the show which I like to call Botalk. That is where I discuss all things Botox. One of my TikTok followers suggested I should talk about Botox and the natural alternatives and whatnot. Fuck that. There is no natural alternatives. You have wrinkles, bitch, you need Botox. Your frontalis muscle, you've got static and dynamic lines on it. So when I move, okay, obviously I've just had 50 unit Botox lashed into my forehead, frontalis and my crow's feet by my badass Russian bitch down in the Wiltshire corridor. I rang Allergan and I was like, hi Allergan, I have the largest Allergan account in Ireland and England and I'm currently here in LA filming a show, and so I need you guys to just hit me up with 50 units so I can do my own Botox. They were like, bitch, that's adorable, but you're not on the register here yet. So I had to go and find somebody who would do Botox, and I was damned if I was going to be paying $15 a unit. So I got somebody who actually was reasonably priced, but also she's a badass. She did a great job. She also did my lip. I know I had a massive hematoma here that we covered last week, but it's all gone and everything's great. And like I said, I don't have very much makeup on tonight because I have a screen test tomorrow and I have the fake tan lashed on. If you could smell me right now, it's disgusting. Smell of it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Anyway, and I just realised I have white polish on my toes. I had to wipe them as well because it was tan everywhere. It was as usual all over the floor everywhere. More on Botox and filler. I think at the moment it's really important to bear in mind that filler now at fourth generations, initially things like the Restylane was a second generation hyaluronic, and I feel like there's just much better options now. I don't know why anyone would really be having Restylane. There's also products like Radiesse, which people have on their lips, which I think is dumb because Radiesse is actually calcium hydroxide. So it's like a bone-like material, and so that's great if you have like a jaw that's pulled back and you want to build up the jaw, or you want to have the angle of the mandible more defined. I think Radiesse is a good one, but I think Juvederm is always the favourite, to be honest with you. I've used Juvederm for years. I've had Juvederm for years, and it's very pliable and it's very safe. So just also be very careful as well. I was discussing this earlier on with another Botox doctor here in LA. The fact that people here in LA are decanting the filler into BD needles. BD needles are the small Botox needles, so they're very, very thin, and it means it's not sore. And again, for filler, it's not that you want to be using a large gauge needle, but you also, it comes in a sterile pack. If someone's going to decant it and put it into a small Botox BD needle, you want to make sure they do it in front of you and you know for sure that it's coming out of a Juvederm syringe. Plus the Juvederm syringe is all sterile, and I just feel like why take it out of a pack? That's just me personally. I think some people are kind of messy injectors, so I think from that point of view, possible that, a smaller needle is obviously less painful, less risk of bruising, and I get that for sure. But also, if you go somewhere and they bring out the Botox in a tray and they're not actually drawing up the Botox, you want to ask to see the bottle, because you don't know if it's Xeomin, which is spelled Xeomin, or Dysport, which again is a very good grade or you don't know if it's Dysport, and Dysport is great as well, but Dysport gives me a headache. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Xeomin is great if you're traveling. That's what I should have done. I should have put a couple of vials of Xeomin in my suitcase when I was coming back last. That's what I'm actually going to do next time, because I'm not doing this whole paying $10 a unit again. And also I want to do my own Botox. I hate when people do it. This is the first time ever I've had someone do my Botox where I actually like. But when I went back for the top up, I was like, look, I need a half unit here, a half unit, a quarter unit there. So she was like, what do you want done? She was very nice actually. She did my lips at the same time and didn't charge me for the Botox top ups, because I said to her, I owe you this much, but how many units of Botox add on? And she was very nice. I've never got anything free in Los Angeles. They barely give you a cup of ice here. Everything, charge them up. Money. So that was interesting to have it done here and actually be happy with it. But again, you have to be very careful if you're getting Botox done. Say you want to see what it's drawn out of, because all these people are watering it down, and they're also they're not using bad products, but you want to make sure if you're paying for Botox units, you want Botox units made by Allergan. You don't want Dysport or Xeomin or any of these other newer versions. I do think the newer versions, the fourth generation of the hyaluronic fillers, are better than the old ones. Like I said, Restylane is to me outdated. Radiesse is a great product if you want something that's made of calcium hydroxide, if you want something that's going to stick to bone or build bone. Some people have chins they're called retinothic. They're sitting back, and yes, I am dual qualified as a dentist, so I can talk about jaw. And so if you want to build that out, then it's worth doing something like calcium hydroxide, Radiesse, and it'll attach to bone, Gore-Tex in a way, and build it out. But you don't want to be Radiesse in your lips. You want a nice pliable Juvederm Ultra. There's another newer brand as well, also has less migration, but Juvederm for the most part is pretty solid hyaluronic injectable filler. But yes, someone asked me to give natural alternatives. Bitch, there is no natural alternatives. If you've got wrinkles, you need Botox. Like there's none. What I will say is I do have a product in my Dermaface MD range. It's called triple peptide eye cream. And certainly in between Botox treatments, I put that along here, and it'll make the Botox last long. The reality is that there's no, oh, what are you going to do, like tea bags in your eye? All these people are like, I'm not getting Botox. That's fine. Don't get Botox then. But also don't be like, I want the natural Botox. There fucking isn't one, okay? Get to your Botox, bitch, and get your Botox. It's like here when you move, you've got static lines and dynamic lines. So static lines are lines that are present when you're at rest. So if I'm just at rest, I don't have too many lines because I've done so much Botox recently. Static lines are lines that are present when you're resting. So sometimes people have crow's feet straight when they're relaxed and they have big nasolabial lines here. They're static. But when you're moving, press your lips or raise your eyebrows. Obviously, I've just had 50 units of Botox whacked into my frontalis muscle and my orbicularis muscle. And again, I even had it down in my zygomatic process, which I don't normally do, but it actually is great. And so I don't have too much movement, but dynamic lines are formed when you're moving. So sometimes if you raise your eyebrows up when you're getting Botox, you'll see all the wrinkles, and that's where they'll inject into the muscle. There's no like, oh, let's have a natural version. Like if you've got wrinkles and you don't want wrinkles, get your fucking go to your Botox, bitch, and get your Botox. So in terms of skincare, I always very quickly, if you're getting hyaluronic injected, obviously it's delivered via needles. So hyaluronic will attract 1,000 times its weight, and when it's injected, it will be deliverable to the dermis and the epidermis. So it'll plump it. Not everybody wants to have hyaluronic injected in their lip. I actually didn't find it painful the last time, but we put on a load of numbing cream beforehand, and it worked really, really well. She had strong stuff from Russia. I told her she's a badass Russian Botox bitch, my lady. But also as well, there's topical hyaluronic. So this product here is the Dermaface 1000X hyaluronic serum, and again, you put it on wet skin and then you pair it with a moisturizer. So we have obviously the Aerospace MD oxygenating moisturizer. I don't know if you can see that there. And again, the links are all in the TikTok shop. The links are all on the Dermaface MD website and the Aerospace MD website and the diaryofaBitch.com website. In fact, go to the website because there's better discounts, I feel. Then the other thing as well is just to let you know, the special limited edition medical grade blue hyaluronic as well. They're the same formulation, basically advanced 1000X hyaluronic serum, because it attracts 1,000 times its weight in water. So that is my top tips. Like I said, in the next episode, we're going to go into more depth about hyaluronic and topical hyaluronic and the difference between injectables and topicals, and also talk more in depth. In fact, I'm just going to spill all the tea on everything Big Brother. I just think it's a really bad show and it shouldn't have come back, to be quite honest. So anyway, typically finish a podcast with a little reading of just a couple of paragraphs from my book, Diary of a Botox Bitch, which is basically all the behind the scenes of me going to Botox conferences, what happened really at certain points in the TV show. I also try and give some discounts. So I'll give the discounts for today. If you use code Dr. Botox 20, you'll get 20% all the Dermaface MD product. If you use code Botox bitch, you get 25% off all the skincare. Just to let you know, La Dollar Skin is going to be dropping, I think, in about 10 days, and that is almost like my love letter to Los Angeles. The colors are the sky color. The names are more urban. It's a very medical grade still. It's made in the same lab, but it's got a lower entry point and a lower price point. Spoiler alert on that. So basically, I just want to go back, read a little bit more. We're in chapter 2 of Diary of a Botox Bitch, my book, and giving all the behind the scenes. This chapter is called Non-Alcoholic Bucks Fizz. And it starts with me saying, so the conference was to start in earnest at 9 a.m. on the Friday morning. If I'm entirely honest, I may have missed the start, as I was en route from a French town 4 hours away from Monaco after a fairly chilled out catch up with one of my friends. I also got done for speedy on the way there. In fact, I was so chilled that I was on my way back and I stopped in to get coffee, and I was casually reversing and managed to accidentally reverse the Renault Megane rental car into a parked caravan at circa 0900 hours instead of being in situ at the conference in Monte Carlo. This unfortunate incident occurred at a service station just outside the French town I had just purchased the most delicious coffee of my entire life. I can actually remember it was a noisette, so it was a coffee with nut. It was so funny. It was just from some dispensary machine, which I would normally never even get anything from. You know, when you're in a hospital, there's been a drama and you end up with like hot chocolate at 3 a.m. Like, it's disgusting. It was the same type of machine, but of course the French are so chic that even the coffee from the machine was fucking delicious. And I remember it was a noisette, and I had been in Cannes the day before down Le Croisette, which is where my friend has a big Botox practice. And then it was just so funny. I just was like, oh, noisette rhymes with Posette, and I just was like, ugh, I'll just get a coffee because I need to wake up. And actually it was the most delicious coffee of my life. I have to skip that bit because I don't want to say it. You have to buy the book for that bit. And once the caffeine kicked in, I wasn't particularly perturbed by the little bang I experienced on impact of the Renault Megane reversing into the caravan. Unfortunately, I cannot say the same for the owner of the caravan. I was relieved to notice in the rearview mirror that the clatter wasn't my bumper falling off the rental car, because that would be a nightmare. It would have cost me loads of money. But it was rather just the bikes falling off the back caravan. And frankly, I was having such a good morning, I wasn't prepared to let anyone, not even Mr. Caravan owner, put the kibosh on my most excellent move. So I decided I would continue without a detour or deviation and exit the service station without stopping. I mean, it didn't do much damage. A couple of bikes fell off. And also, I'd already had the run in the night before with the gendarme, so I was over it, you know. And it was the same stretch of road, and the last thing I needed was to meet the same Pierre, gendarme, police officer, being like, oh, this one is causing just general trouble. So I decided to continue without detour or deviation and exit the service station without stop. This I did as Mr. Caravan owner ran after me. I forgot about this. He ran after me on the hard shoulder of the A8 waving his arm. Adventure so dramatic. But I was looking forward to catching up with all my colleagues. If the truth be known, one of my favourite Botox doctors was in New York. Oh, this makes me sad. I forgot about this. Was in New York. A celebrity Botox doctor who we all thought was a total legend, because apparently injected 250 vials of Botox per month, which is a huge fucking Botox account. His hair was GHD'd to within an inch of his line, and I doubt either his hair or his face had moved for the best part of 30. Technically, he wasn't exactly a colleague because he had trained in the UN, but he did know me and my two best pals, Dr. Ben and Dr. Isabel. We call her Isabel Gobb. He knew us because we caused a bit of a scene at the start of his penultimate lecture, means the second last lecture, the previous year at the conference, which was the subject of how to undroop a droopy eye. So really, we felt like we were his colleagues, as we were known to him, albeit much in the same way a criminal is known to the police. I think Ben had to leave the actual lecture because I can't remember, there was some drama. Oh, I remember what happened. So yes, I remember exactly what's happened. But you know what, I'm going to stop there because also, as well as that, I just given me a little bit of a skip of my heart because I actually, but the doctor in question was the biggest Botox injector out of New York, and he since is no longer with us. He passed away same way that the English version of Love Island passed away. He unalived himself also. Right, well, this is a bit depressing now, isn't it? Reality TV stars unaliving themselves, and then the top Botox in New York also, which was very sad. I remember at the time, like, I literally was choked up because I was going on very, very well with him, and he's such a rock star. So yeah, here we are in Diary of a Botox Bitch, and it's all a bit dark now, so I don't know how we're going to spin this. What I would say is, you know, I'm basically a reality TV gun for hire, but like not the IRA, but I will pick up at that exact spot. That's it, you guys, for this episode 3, Diary of a Botox Bitch. You can also watch it on YouTube and watch it on Spotify for podcasts, or podcasts for Spotify, whatever it's called. It used to be called Anchor. And you can watch the video, like and share. And also, as always, there will be secret codes to buy product, to buy skincare product, and to buy merch. And again, we have my pronouns are Botox Bitch. I often wear this on stage, actually, when I'm doing stand-up comedy. A lot of my stand-up comedy is about just throwing shade at the reality TV in general and all the shenanigans, and my supporting cast for my show. Sorry, my bad, Michael. So that is it for this episode. Okay, lots of love, Botox bitches. And yeah, go to your Botox bitch and get your Botox.
I know it's exactly what you've been waiting for, so let's do this.
Welcome to the segment we call Bo Talks. Let's talk all things Botox, filler, and skincare.